This does not exist in any other country on planet Earth. I do not understand why our country takes this decision. This is why we had a Supreme Court. This is why Supreme Court justices are important. But I think this is a grave mistake.
Suppose the child never visited the United States while growing up and was inculcated with hatred of this country. According to this court now, that person is a citizen of the United States. He can enter and leave the country as he pleases. He can travel the world on a United States passport. Even if he plots to harm this country, he cannot be deprived of his status as a citizen, at least under current precedent.
Progressivism seeks to replace the basic premises of the Declaration of Independence, and hence our form of government.
I guess I have to accept it's the Supreme Court, so I'll accept. I think it's very bad for our nation. We're the only nation that does it. No other nation does that birthright citizenship. No, it's not even close.
Let me ask you something. Have you ever Googled your own name? Do it sometimes. You'll be shocked how much of your private information is out there. Your address, phone number, even family details. And here's the crazy part. Data brokers and random websites are selling your information without your consent. That's where Incogni comes in. Incogni tracks down and removes your personal data from hundreds of data broker sites, the ones that collect, sell, and repost your information for profit. And now with Incogni's custom data removal, you can maximize your online privacy. That means if you find your personal information on any site, you can just send Incogni the link and their privacy experts will handle the rest. It's that simple. Remember, a VPN protects your data going out, but Incogni removes what's already out there. They can't harm you if they can't find you. And this isn't some shady privacy gimmick. Incogni's customer data removal process was verified by Deloitte and proven that they actually work. Take your personal data back with Incogni. All you gotta do is use code Tatum and get 60% off an annual plan at incogni.com/Tatum. That's incogni.com/Tatum. Protect your privacy today. Let's get to one of the court rulings that came out today. And the first one we're going to talk about is the birthright decision. And I think Clarence Thomas is the only one with common sense on this thing. And all of those who dissented from this particular ruling wrote a clip.
And it's a big one. It has to do with birthright citizenship. It was an executive order that President Trump, on day one of his second term in January 2025, signed the executive order. It was immediately challenged, and now we can tell you that the U.S. Supreme Court has ruled against President Trump's order to limit birthright citizenship. Shannon, we have talked for some time about the president feeling that he would not win on this one. The question is, why not?
Okay, right off the bat, it says children born in the United States to parents unlawfully or temporarily present are, quote, subject to the jurisdiction of the United States and are citizens at birth under the 14th Amendment's Citizenship Clause. So look how this broke down. As we expected, the Chief Justice wrote this opinion. Justices Sotomayor, Kagan, Barrett, and Jackson joined. Jackson has a concurring opinion in which Sotomayor joins. Justice Kavanaugh files an opinion concurring in the judgment and dissenting in part. The dissent comes from Justice Thomas. He is joined by Gorsuch, Alito, and then Justice Gorsuch apparently has his own dissenting opinion. So it is what we expected after the arguments here, and it looks like a bit of a split, but enough of a plurality coming together to say that the executive order that the president issued very quickly upon taking office is no good, and that if people are here, subject to the jurisdiction thereof includes people who are here illegally. Writing for the majority, Chief Justice Roberts says this: citizenship then and now was the right to have rights to freely participate in our political community. Talking about the 14th Amendment, the framers of the 14th Amendment extended that promise to every freeborn person in this land. That's a quote, and it looks like it's a quote back to some of the legislative debate about this in Congress. He says we keep that promise today. So a loss probably expected by the Trump White House, but it is official and it's a thick one, so we'll keep reading.
All right, we're going to talk about Justin Thomas and what he said here in a minute, but let's just put this in perspective. People come to this country illegally, and they come here intentionally to give birth so they can have citizenship claimed by their children, by their offsprings. If you have 2 or 3 children as an illegal alien, there's no way in the world, or highly likely improbable, for you to get deported because you have American citizen children. This does not exist in any other country on planet Earth. I do not understand why our country takes this decision. This is why we had a Supreme Court. This is why Supreme Court justices are important. But I think this is a grave mistake when the founders articulated, and I'm not trying to act like I know more than these judges. I'm just giving my opinion and dissent. When the founders created or established or made an amendment, which is the 14th Amendment to the Constitution, I believe in their mind and the spirit of what they were doing was making sure that people who were slaves that were previously property that now are free people in the United States of America, as they give birth and have children, they establish citizenship so they can never be removed or not included in society. This was not created for a time such as this, where people can fly on an airplane, travel the sea, traverse the sea with coyotes and cartel paying for people to come into our country, for terrorists potentially to come into our country and get a stronghold here by having children in this country. That's the reason why no other country on planet Earth does this, because there's loopholes that are problematic. And I think that this should be very simply put. If you're a person who are here on legal reasons or something of that nature, you can have children here and be considered citizens. But if you're illegally in our country, you have no jurisdictional authority to be here. I don't know how we can't clean this up. Justice Thomas, I think, had a really good response, and I think Alito agreed with him. Let's go with Alito's, and then we'll go with Clarence Thomas, Justice Thomas perspective. Roll it.
Back to Shannon, who's got more yet again. Shannon.
All right, this comes from Justice Alito, who brought this up during the arguments. This is his separate dissent. He said the court's interpretation also has national security implications. Suppose that a person's only connection to this country is that he was born here to a mother who was present just long enough to give birth and then quickly return to her native country. Suppose that country is a strategic adversary or enemy of the United States. Suppose the child never visited the United States while growing up and was inculcated with hatred of this country. According to this court now, that person is a citizen of the United States. He can enter and leave the country as he pleases. He can travel the world on a United States passport. Even if he plots to harm this country, he cannot be deprived of his status as a citizen, at least under current precedent. He goes on to say that this decision today also provides a powerful incentive to enter or remain in this country illegally. He goes on to say, in my judgment, the court has made a mistake that will seriously affect the country's future. So some very pointed dissents here from those who raised these very big concerns during the arguments. And they're real world scenarios, which are not a fantasy. They're not a movie. I mean, these things that can actually happen now under this ruling that you have today from the majority.
Let's get to Justice Thomas here. And as you could tell, Alito, I think that was Justice Alito, right? He articulated something very pertinent that I think is important. Because if you want to strategically destroy the United States of America over the course of 50 years, see, some people have the long game in mind. They're not thinking instantaneous, taking over of this country in an instantaneous way. They're thinking of a 50-year plan where they begin to send people into this country with no loyalty, no assimilation to America, no love for American values. They come over here, they have children. Their children are not loyal to this country because the parents are not loyal to this country. And then they leverage those relationships to either gain access, stay here, or they leverage those relationships that their children, as they indoctrinate them, can go to and fro wherever they want to go and be a detriment to this country. And now they have access. Now, here's Clarence Thomas, Justice Thomas.
Back to Shannon Bream for the view from Justice Thomas, who was a dissenter here. Shannon.
Yeah, in his dissent, he gets to that point, Bill, that you're making there. The 14th Amendment was enacted in the wake of the Civil War, quote, with the one pervading purpose of securing equal citizenship for the freed slaves. He writes, it was enacted, as Justice Harlan wrote, to secure to a race recently emancipated the civil rights that other citizens enjoyed. So Thomas has always been about that was the purpose of the 14th Amendment. He goes on to say that the court, meaning the majority now, has repurposed the 14th Amendment to protect its own set of preferred rights that the Reconstruction Congress never contemplated and that cannot find support in the text. Today, the court does so by recognizing a constitutional right to citizenship for the children of all foreign birth tourists and illegal aliens. He uses very specific language there. Again, Justice Thomas adhering and agreeing with the government's argument, with which they made here very passionately, that the 14th Amendment was about protecting the children of freed slaves and not what we've come to understand it as. You see his language there. He mentions birth tourism. It came up in the arguments, and clearly that's a very big concern of the dissenters. We also have dissents by Justice Alito and others, so we'll read those as well.
Yeah, it's very interesting because they have this ring of people who come here as tourists. They come stay in hotels. They have a whole economy around this, where hundreds of well, I don't know if it's that many people, but I think it's at least thousands of people have done this over time. It's probably been tens of thousands where people come here on tourism with the front of a tourist. And they get here and they stay in these hotels, and it's like I said before, it's a whole economy around this. And they get pregnant on purpose, and they give birth to children. They become American citizens. They have no intent to stay here. They have no reason to be here. They have not showed our government any intent to become American citizens. They just come over here to leverage the resources for children who are born in this country. Let me just give you a quick example, and I'm gonna go to Trump. When you have a child here in the United States of America, if you don't have income or you're living in poverty, just say you don't work. You don't want to work. They're not going to make you work. If you have a child, you can go down to the child support office, Lord Jesus. You can go down to the, I don't know what you would call this, Social Security office. You go down there, you say, hey, I got a young child or I'm pregnant. They'll immediately give you resources ahead of everybody else. And a person can sit on their ashy elbows, never intending to be a citizen, never wanting to add value to society. They can have government assistance that will protect, financially support them and their unborn child. And then when the child is born, they retain that same level of government assistance throughout that child's life until the child is 18 years old. And you can't tell me that's not true. People are doing it all the time. That's why you see some of these single moms going out here in these inner cities and they're on food stamps for 55 years. They just keep having children and they're not going to let the children starve, so they're going to give you too much money for formula and all kind of stuff, and mama's selling food stamps and all kind of stuff. It's just an economy that's useless and that does not add value to America because it's unnecessary. And people take advantage of that by the millions. All right, here's Donald Trump. Roll the clip.
I guess I have to accept it's the Supreme Court, so I'll accept. I think it's very bad for our nation. We're the only nation that does it. No other nation does that birthright citizenship. No, not even close. Some did it, they ended it. It's tremendously destructive. It's extremely costly. I don't know, it's up to them. But in terms of for the good of the country, it'd be great if they didn't allow it. It would be great. But I can't tell you. The Slaughter case was the big case today. That was really a big case because it gave strength to presidents and strength to the presidency, a very important case. It's been going on for almost 100 years, think of that, and this was the ruling that really topped everything by a lot today, yeah.
All right, so let's get to the next ruling. I know how people may feel about that, and I think they're justified in that. And that theology is that this is not helpful to America. What way does this ruling benefit the United States of America and holds precedent and context to what the original 14th Amendment was made for? There was no illegal aliens in this country. There was no mass immigration. People had to get over here on a boat. You weren't flying over here. You weren't getting shipped over here. There wasn't a big economy and illegal aliens coming to America to take over this country. There's enemies that are foreign that want what we have here in America, and they don't want to assimilate. They want their own new world. Here's another ruling that I think was very important, and that was the ruling of keeping men's penile out of female locker rooms. And I'll just say this, because I know I probably got trans people that follow me, gay people that follow me, trans-adjacent people that follow me. Let's just be quite honest, man. If you live in America, you have the freedom to do whatever you want to do. If you want to be trans, be trans. I don't think it's a problem with you doing whatever you want to do in your own personal life according to the laws of the United States of America. Now, according to God, that's between you and God. But outside of that, I know nobody cares. You can dress like a man, cross-dress, dress like a woman, do whatever you want to do. Just don't mess with the kids and don't be an a-hole. And what does being an a-hole mean? That means that you know God dog well that you are superior athletically than women, and you're gonna take your narrow behind and try to put a wig on and say, I'm equally competing against women because I'm a real woman. No, you're not. Even if you want to identify as a woman, you weren't born a woman. I don't know why we even arguing about this. Why can't people not be jerks and put other people in terrible situations because they're of their own endeavors? Do what you want to do. And when it becomes a hindrance to other people, meaning it thwarts somebody else's constitutional rights or their rights to freedom and access to sports, when you begin to thwart their stuff, but with your own, I want to say, I'm not going to use the word retardation, but your own problems, then that's an issue. Roll the clip.
I want to introduce now Peyton McNabb, Independent Women's Forum ambassador, former three-sport high school athlete from North Carolina, severely injured by a biological male on the women's volleyball court. Good morning to you, and congratulations. You won.
Good morning. Thank you so much.
How do you feel now?
I'm just feeling so blessed. Of course, this is something that means a lot to me, and it affected me personally. And there's a lot of eyes on this across the country. There's families, there's parents, and there's coaches and daughters who are watching this decision being made. And I'm just so thankful that they get to understand that they are protected and it's okay for their state to protect them, because that's all it was. All that they were having to determine is if it was okay if states could protect their girls or if it was allowed. So I'm thankful that states are able to protect their girls. Of course, they shouldn't have been put in that position to begin with, but again, this really does help the Supreme Court, because to me, if they wouldn't have ruled this way, they would have lost all credibility. So I'm very thankful it went this way, and I'm excited to see it keep pushing in the right direction.
Shout out, young lady with that southern accent. All right, so let me just address this and I'll move on. I respect trans people that are honest. That's what it is. I see them online all the time, and they go, I'm a man, I'm a man, but I want to identify as a girl. And I respect that. I don't have no problems. I could be friends with somebody like that. As long as you real about what's happening to you, then I can respect what you're doing. I'm like, look, man, I don't know what's going on in your heart and your mind. This is what you decide to do. You're not trying to hurt anybody. You're just trying to live out what you feel like. That's fine. Just get the kids out of it, man. And don't try to overdo yourself and push yourself on other people. That's all I'm asking for people. Same thing about being gay and all this, man. I love everybody, man, because everybody got a story. Everybody's a person. Everybody bleeds the same blood. We all in different phases in our lives. Some people I don't write people off in many cases, simply because you never know what God can do in their lives moving forward. So you just love people, and as long as they're not trying to hurt people and with the intent in their heart to do wrong, then you can say, look, I love you. I appreciate you. You live your life, and I ain't got nothing to say about it. You in your lane, I'm in my lane. I don't get it. But then the other people, they do too much, man. They look like dudes with wigs on, and then they want to make you call them certain things. I can't stand that.